What sounds like fiction but is actually a real historical event. A Chinese emperor once ran in circles around a pillar to escape an assassin. He survived. I've used similar tactics with my father. 10 out of 10 would run around in circles again. Edit. No, he didn't have jumper cables. Sorry to hear that your dad tried to assassinate you. Some guy in Australia decided he wanted to hunt rabbits, but rabbits don't live in Australia, so then he released like 12 in his backyard, and now there's a fuck ton of rabbits in Australia. The Glasgow Ice Cream Wars. 6 people died in a turf war over ice cream van routes. They were dealing heroin out of the vans. In 2007, a paraglider got trapped in the updraft of 2 joining thunderstorms and lifted to an altitude of 10 kilometers. She landed 3.5 hours later about 60 kilometers north of her starting position, having survived extreme cold, lightning and lack of oxygen. Imagine how fucking scary that would be. She doesn't remember much of it since she became unconscious quite quickly. IRC she regained consciousness when she was back down at 3,500 meters. Imagine how fucking scary that would be. For real, imagine waking up 2 miles up in the air. In the 1800s there were street vendors in Egypt who sold ancient Egyptian mummies. Just line them up on a street corner and sold them like they were umbrellas on a rainy day. English tourists would buy them to display as oddities. The marathon at the 1904 Olympics in St. Louis. The first place finisher did most of the race in a car. He had intended to drop out, and got a car back to the stadium to get his change of clothes, and just kind of started jogging when he heard the fanfare. The second place finisher was carried across the finish line, legs technically twitching, by his trainers. They had been refusing him water, and giving him a mixture of brandy and rat poison for the entire race. Doping wasn't illegal yet, and this was a terrible attempt at it. So he got the gold when the first guy was revealed. Third finisher was unremarkable. Somehow. Fourth finisher was a Cuban mailman, who had raised the funds to attend the Olympics by running non-stop around his entire country. He landed in New Orleans, and promptly lost all of the traveling money on a riverboat casino. He ran the race in dress shoes and long trousers, cut off at the knee by a fellow competitor with a knife. He probably would have come in first. Well, second, behind the car, had it not been for the hour nap he took on the side of the track after eating rotten apples he found on the side of the race. Ninth and 12th finishers were from South Africa, and ran barefoot. South Africa didn't actually send a delegation. These were students who just happened to be in town and thought it sounded fun. Ninth was chased a mile off course by angry dogs. Note: these are the first Africans to compete in any modern Olympic event. Half the participants had never raced competitively before. Some died. St. Louis only had one water stop on the entire run. This, coupled with the dusty road, and exacerbated by the cars kicking up dust, lead to the above fatalities. And yet, somehow, rat poison guy survived to get the gold. The Russian delegation arrived a week late, because they were still using the Julian calendar, in 1904. Seriously, this needs to be a movie. If this sounds familiar, I'm reposting myself. This sounds like some Monty Python shit. A town in France nearly danced itself to death in 1518 because of a dancing plague. My first genuine what in this thread. That's fucking wild. Why has this not been tapped into for fiction stories? I want to read a post-apocalypse story from the perspective of a survivor of the global dancing plague. Imagine infected people not coughing or getting any flu-like symptoms, but instead looking elated, full of energy, happy, and then dancing with the other infected until they fall down dead, still smiling and twitching while others dance on. Name the disease. And the book. Foxtrot. Stephen King. Come on. I know you got this in you. This is the plot of LMFAO's party rock anthem music video. One interesting theory is that they had consumed ergot, a psychoactive fungus that can grow on grain in certain conditions. They were unknowingly baking this tainted grain into their daily bread and as a result were constantly high as balls. The longest piano piece of any kind is Vexations by Eric Satie. It consists of a 180-note composition which, on the composer's orders, must be repeated 840 times so that the whole performance is 18 hours 40 minutes. Its first reported public performance in September 1963, in the Pocket Theater, New York City, required a relay team of 10 pianists. The New York Times critic fell asleep at 4 Monsieur and the audience dwindled to 6 masochists. At the conclusion, one sadomasochist shouted, encore Quote, greater than one sadomasochist shouted, encore. I found my real father. I bet he waited 18 hours just to say that. There were a few Japanese soldiers who refused to surrender after World War II and remained on duty in the rainforest for 30 years after the war ended. The Great Sting of London in 1858. One summer the heat dried up the River Thames, where all the human waste went, and an unbearable smell pervaded throughout the entire city. All Parliament representatives were eventually coerced out of their homes outside of London to convene and solve the issue. Much to the citizens' glee, Parliament was held in their building on the bank of the River Thames, resulting in one of the fastest Parliament decisions ever made to reform the London sewer system. Edit. Grammar. And the guy they had designed the system did it so well. The bulk of his planning is still in place today, with modern improvements. Edit. Few modern improvements. Return of Napoleon. An army was sent to intercept him, and they ended up fighting for High Monsieur. If it were shown in a movie, most people would have considered it cheesy and unrealistic. His whole life was my vote. Edit. It seems fitting that while I'm currently obsessed with Napoleon, that this should be the post that blows up. Please read on for more information on the French Emperor. Edit 2. Due to all the requests, I will be releasing my whole draft after I have had a chance to smooth it out a bit for public consumption. Please message me or comment if interested. Edit 3. Check my post history and it will be the most recent one. The rise and fall of Alexander the Great. Never lost a battle in his life. Conquered the whole known world, and only stopped because his soldiers were tired, and then died of the flu when he was like 32. Honestly, his life should be a vaccine commercial. No matter how great you are, vaccines will save your life. That's a genius idea. Actually a super good idea. Alexander the Great was king at 18. Fought off assassins for years. Beat back and conquered the whole world. Asterisk role of a super hot, fit dude sword fighting a bunch of bigger, hotter dudes asterisk. But he couldn't fight off the flu. Neither can you. Role of same hot dude vomiting and dying. No matter how great you are, get vaccinated. The town of Rothenburg ob der Tauber in Germany, one of the country's oldest and most preserved cities. Essentially during the 30 Years' War, the Catholic army wanted to destroy the town because they resisted the church. Count von Tilly, sounds like a Monty Python name, was going to destroy the town. But as a gesture of peace the town offered him a mass. 3.25 L of local wine. He declared that if anyone in the town could drink the mass of wine in one go, he would spare the town and move on. Then someone just walked up and did it. So the army left. Much later during World War II, when the U.S. was performing air raids, someone in the White House knew of this town and pleaded that we do not destroy it. So it has been saved from 2 wars, all because one guy chugged a bunch of wine. Edit. Apparently there was some damage done in World War II, but I don't know if it was bombed. It's also not one of the oldest cities but one of the most preserved. I just posted from memory from my German culture and history class in college. Thanks for the feedback. That's a solid excuse for alcoholism. Hans, don't you think you've had enough? Quote, we would all be dead with that attitude. Ingrid proceeds to pound 3 liters of wine. The assassination of Rasputin reads like a cartoon. The assassination of the Archduke Franz Ferdinand too. Guess back then assassinations just had a slapstick look and feel. Check out the CIA's assassination attempts on Castro. Some highlights include planting a bomb in a large seashell, and then painting it bright colors and placing it on the ocean floor in hopes Castro would see it while swimming and pick it up. Exploding cigars. Poisoned cigars that were supposed to be given to Castro but were instead given to an unknown individual. Spraying Castro's broadcasting station with LSD. Poisoning Castro's shoes so that his beard would fall out. Poisoning a chocolate milkshake. Only the pills froze together in the freezer and shattered before they could be placed in the shake. Contaminating a diving suit with a toxic fungus and giving it to Castro, only for the man set to deliver the suit to decide to give him a higher quality diving suit. A ballpoint pen with a very fine hypodermic needle. That the CIA used to be run by Wile E. Coyote. I'm always scared to say this, in case it puts the curse of Reddit on him. But for 3 weeks in December 1916, Rasputin and Kirk Douglas were alive at the same time. The entire typing rebellion, a war started by a Chinese peasant who dreamed and believed he was Jesus' younger brother. Although poor, the first thing he did was have a giant demon-slaying sword forged. Took over a city. Asked the British why they wouldn't pay him tribute as the new head of their faith. Engaged in total war with the Qing. Applied Sedgwick communist policies like abolishing private property. Separated women and men from ever interacting. And sent the women to the front lines. Over 20 million people died, with some estimates as high as 40 million. It was the 4th deadliest conflict in human history. It killed more people than World War I. Only World War II, transition of the Ming, and Qing conquest of the Ming were deadlier. Greater than the first thing he did was have a giant demon-slaying sword forged. Took over a city. Ha ha ha, this is great. Greater than over 20 million people died. Pipe. Yeah, the entire thing was this is going to be awesome. Oh, that's bad. China is in another league when it comes to wholesale slaughter. Wholesale, yeah? Alibaba Express massacre. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.